Here's more wrestling news for September 11th, 2022, and we're starting off with AEW, as on the All Out post-show media scrum, CM Punk had some explosive comments for many in the company that led to a backstage fight between some of the company's top stars. A lot has been said about what happened last weekend, and a veteran WWE superstar has referenced the situation in their own way. Prior to this week's Smackdown, Natalya's quote-unquote assistant Bob tweeted on her account to say that she has never sued anyone and is a backstage leader. Many took that as a nod to AEW's ongoing troubles, as there's been talk of legal action being filed against Punk, Ace Steel, and maybe AEW over the fight. Bob also noted that Natalya had been eating a muffin when dictating her message, a clear nod to Punk, who was enjoying a muffin during the press conference in which he made his comments. This isn't the only comment by a WWE employee, as during Smackdown, Michael Cole made a note to airing dirty laundry when discussing Ronda Rousey and Adam Pearce, which many believe was a reference to AEW. AEW has never shied away from taking shots at WWE's storylines and backstage drama, though we doubt Tony Khan appreciates getting a taste of their own medicine. When Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out of WWE in May, there was a long period of time when fans thought they were done with WWE for good. However, that was when Vince McMahon was running things, and with him gone, it's believed that the two will return to WWE TV any week now. Outside of the ring, Banks has been making a name for herself in entertainment, most prominently in Star Wars series hit The Mandalorian, and isn't done with outside projects. Sitting down with AEW Radio, Banks discussed her future in entertainment and has a lot of non-wrestling plans in the works. "I'm an actor, writer, producer, and extraordinaire entertainer. All within those realms, I'm doing something. So you just have to stay tuned. I'm really starting to focus my mind around music and the music realm and being kind of a director in that space of creating a musical video piece." Despite her suspension from WWE TV, Banks has kept herself prominent, appearing with Naomi at last month's Marvel She-Hulk Attorney-at-Law premiere and walking the New York fashion runway this week. Banks and Naomi are reported to have agreed to a WWE return, but even when the boss does wrestle again, expect her to still be kept busy with non-wrestling projects. Banks and Naomi recently strutted their stuff for New York Fashion Week, and there was an extra special guest in attendance to support them. On Twitter, Naomi shared a photo of herself and Banks sharing a kiss on the forehead with Bayley, who had sat in the front row to watch her friends. It's clear that everyone had a great time at New York Fashion Week, and in her tweet, Naomi praised the role model, saying her friendship has never wavered, which means everything to her. This got a reply from Banks, who simply called her former tag team partner our role model. Bayley knows all about lengthy absences from WWE, as she only recently returned after over a year away due to an injury, and she, like countless others, are looking forward to seeing Sasha Banks and Naomi back in the ring in the not-so-distant future. This past Friday, Toxic Attraction had a match on Smackdown where they came up short against WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah. This appearance came weeks after their debut on SmackDown as part of the Women's Tag Team title tournament, an event they had to be pulled from due to an injury. With Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne now having multiple appearances on SmackDown, some have wondered what this means for Toxic Attraction, but don't expect them to be a fixture on the Blue brand. When Ringside News asked, they were told that this was not Toxic Attraction's main roster call-up, nor were there plans for Jayne and Dolan to be called up as part of the recent tournament. Internally, Toxic Attraction is still listed as NXT talent, and while they could appear on SmackDown again soon, it won't be as part of a call-up. Today marks day 320 of Mandy Rose's reign as NXT Women's Champion, and with next week's NXT marking a year of NXT 2.0, expect the entire Toxic Attraction to have a huge presence on the show. One name fans will get to see on SmackDown is Roman Reigns, who has dominated WWE for the past 2 years, having held the Universal Championship for over 2 years now and has reached multiple milestones. Last week, Reigns surpassed 2 years as Universal Champion, which he won back at Payback in August 2020, and he now has another accolade for his collection. As of today, Roman Reigns has reached 1,000 days since he last suffered a pinfall loss in WWE, with his most recent pin being to Baron Corbin in a tables, ladders, and chairs match at WWE TLC in December 2019. It's been reported that Reigns is unlikely to drop the undisputed WWE Universal Championship before the end of this year, so don't expect the head of the table to be taking any more pinfalls anytime soon. Now, for decades, Ian Hodgkinson has worked as the menacing Vampiro, having worked in CMLL, WCW, All Japan, AAA, and TNA, just to name a few promotions. Vampiro debuted in wrestling back in 1984, but it's now time for the veteran star to hang up his boots for good. On his Radio Vampiro website, the 55-year-old veteran confirmed that he's gearing up for a retirement tour and will have a select few matches before ending things for good in December 2024. Vampiro also advertised himself to promoters as a world champion, presumably referring to the Juggalo Championship Wrestling heavyweight title, which he said he's willing to defend against the promotion's top guy. In 2019, Vampiro was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and now realizes it's time to leave the wrestling ring for good, and we're wishing him well on his retirement tour from wrestling. More from AEW now, as CM Punk isn't exactly well liked at the moment, and it's not just the current roster who have a beef with the two-time former world champion. In a recent interview with Steve Fall, ex-AEW star Bobby Fish berated Punk's combat skills, saying that Punk is not a martial artist, and it's frankly insulting for Fish, who is trained to sell his stuff. Fish didn't stop there, adding that Punk acted like the C-word after the former world champion made a mistake in their October 2021 Dynamite match, and pointed out in the interview that the GTS was stolen from Kenta. This got a response from Kenta, who replied on Twitter saying that Fish is 100% right about his comments on CM Punk. Kenta's issues with Punk have been well known for years, with the former Hideo Itami routinely calling out Punk for using the GTS, and even teased confronting him when the Chicago-made wrestler joined AEW last year. With Punk's future in AEW in uncertainty, Kenta may not have to worry about the former world champion using the GTS anymore, but that remains to be seen. And we're ending today with Impact Wrestling's Mickie James, who returned to WWE in January this year despite being signed to Impact at the time. During last week's Impact, James confirmed that she is embarking on her final rodeo and that her next match she loses will be her last in wrestling. So far, James has kept her career going, but she's not just satisfied facing the stars of Impact Wrestling. On Twitter, Sasha Banks said how she wants James, including a gif of the two during their WWE days, and the former WWE Women's, Divas, and Knockouts champion made it clear she wants to fight the boss. There's no word on this match happening, as it all hinges on Banks returning to the ring to actually start building towards a match between the two. While this match looks unlikely, we can't rule it out given James' return to WWE earlier this year, so we'll have to wait and see who is the one to give Mickie her final loss in the ring. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.